Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Racing Social at Weekend Preview. A bit different tonight. We're recording on Friday, as Saturday looks like it's been decimated by the weather. So is our team by the look of it, but the show must go on, as they say, Dawn.
Exactly, Joe. Look, two is company, three's the crowd, and the two of us, I think, together will still weather this storm and come out with plenty of winners again. Because I mean, we did very well last week.
Yeah, for the second week in a row, we've done really well.
Yeah, our strike rate is now hot.
That's it. Hopefully we can carry on, and we're going to go through Sunday's racing at Thurles and Lingfield. Pretty good card, isn't it, Dawn, on paper, both of them?
Really, really good, Joe. Really good. Apart from, you know, those British handicaps that you like to put me through. I mean, I'm going to send you my Botox bill for the stress, but yeah, no, it's fantastic race. And then look, if we've lost Haydock, Lingfield, Bristol is probably heading to Lingfield, so you can't complain, can you? You know, it's really good. And the Thurles racing, you've got Billaway turning out, you've Chacun Poursuit, Faca Duderies, you know, you've a very good mare of Willie's in the first. You know, we are still spoiled. Yeah. Even though Mother Nature isn't spoiling us, we're still spoiled.
Yeah, the race is still top class. And last weekend, there were some fantastic performances. Just want to touch on three of them if we can, Dawn. Pick Dory, obviously hacked up. What a performance. Where do you see him moving forward? Is he a Cheltenham horse, or is he one of those Nichols horses that maybe go Ascot next and then Aintree or something?
I have a theory, Joe. You see, we're all getting wound up with Cheltenham, and this is a great thing. Don't get me wrong. The excitement is there. You know, my postman, the man on the street, and my shopkeeper are all Cheltenham. That's fantastic. And Pick Dory last week, you sat back and you went, wow. So would I be really disappointed if he didn't turn up at Cheltenham? No, I wouldn't. Ascot, he's meeting your boy Shishkin, so I believe, and that's going to be that's worth paying your flight, you know, over. You know, I'm even toying with the idea. So if he went Ascot Aintree, which, you know, Paul has done with a couple before, I'd have no problem with that. And I think it could be, and it's no offense to Shishkin, because, you know, we'd love another Shishkin Saturday. If you seen Pick Dory do Ascot Aintree as opposed to Cheltenham, I'd be happy. I'd be very, very happy.
Yeah. I mean, I touched on it last week with Pick Dory. I still worry about him in a battle if someone eyeballs him. But if he performs like that, I don't think many horses will get that chance to eyeball him.
No, I don't think so. I think he'll pull away again. I think, didn't we discuss that? Was it Matty or was it Harry a couple of weeks ago? He said the same. If something came to eyeball him, there'd be a question there. After that performance last week, I don't think so. I think he'd just pull away again.
Yeah, it's definitely a good performance and one to look forward to. Blood Destiny is another one who hacked up and comes into the Triumph reckoning, and obviously Lossiemouth favourite, Blood Destiny second. Paul's got a decision to make, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think from what I'm hearing over here, Blood Destiny is definitely Triumph bound, because, you know, the way they were going Triumph Boodles, because we're playing Cheltenham as well as Racing Roulette at the moment. Was I impressed? I was super impressed, apart from there was a little thing, but there was nobody was coming for him either, Joe, and that's the thing. And I would have liked something to come for him. Yeah. Now, I seen him in December and the texts were flying about how good he is, and, you know, he's another French recruit. Lossiemouth, another French recruit. You know me about Jazzy Matty too. I haven't given up on him. I just don't think he was coming. Newsret is Boodles bound, as far as I know too. I have him at 20 so for that. I just think because Blood Destiny is so good, no one wanted to try and take him last week, so we haven't really seen. When something does come from, I'd be more interested. Again, we're going back to when something eyeballs and what will he do? Will he kind of waver? But Lossiemouth, Blood Destiny to me is a chaser in the making. Lossiemouth, I think she's perfection, chef's kiss for the Triumph hurdle. She's just, I adored Lord Glitters, and he was a globetrotter, and she's his distant cousin. So I love Blood Destiny, but I just want to see something really come for him. And until then, I can't put all my eggs in one basket with him.
Yeah, fully agree with that. And we're staying with Willie Mullins, Impair A Pass. I think that's how we pronounce it. Ballymore bound, would you say? Or will he go to the Supreme to take on Facile Vega?
I think he's Ballymore bound. I do. It's a Latin saying, odd and pass, supposedly, and it's like a casino move, they say. Now, the double greens, I mean, they have some fantastic horses this year. They have some ammunition. He was so impressive. I'm so disappointed that I didn't get to Punches Down to see him in the flesh, because anybody that was there said he was just he was perfection. Willie has won that race 7 years. 7 years, and you've seen Maureen Mullins there. She's 92. She turned up to see such a good horse too in the freezing cold, and I do think he's Ballymore bound. Facile Vega still for me for the Supremes. Do I want to see him going up against Champ Kylie? You know me about that horse. I'm obsessed and possessed about Champ Kylie. Has he got me worried? Pere Pass has me worried.
Yeah.
For Champ Kylie. So should he go into Ballymore? God, he has to be favoured or thereabouts, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'd say so. Touching on Mrs. Mullins there, she's racing darling, isn't she? Turning up in all weathers to see her son's horses run. Absolutely. Great.
She's an absolute inspiration and an institution, and like the dynasty she's left. And I even seen tonight people are mentioning Dawn Run again, and you think of Paddy and you think of like Maureen is just, I just love seeing when she turns up, because the enthusiasm is incredible, and I hope to God I have the same enthusiasm, please God, when I hit that age.
You mentioned Dawn Run there. Peter mentioned Dawn Run tonight because someone's mentioned Constitutional could do a Dawn Run while winning the Championnat de win the Gold Cup. But I'd like to see him win the Championnat first before we start talking about Gold Cups and jumping fences.
Absolutely. I kind of think let him do what he's going to do, all going well, because you know what horses, anything can happen, but let him do what he's going to do before we start talking about crystal balls and everything else, because I got to mention the F word, which you hate me mentioning, but we seen back in Ascot in October what happened with something that was said to be the second coming, and unfortunately it didn't all go to plan, and then everybody kind of forgot. And you'd love to see another Dawn Run, but we have to reside to the fact it's different times, different ways of training, and we mightn't, Joe, that way. Not that I don't love the horsegasm that is Constitution Hill, but Dawn Run, she's nearly mythical the way she's spoken about, so it's a big, big ask. Let him win in March first, then we start thinking about the future.
Definitely agree. So we're going to start off over at Thurles in the 110. It's a grade 2 mares novice chase, 2 mile, 4.5 furlong. Well, I was disappointed that Dino Blue wasn't declared, because she's a mare, as you know, I absolutely love. And that probably leaves this race as a bit of a one-horse race, would you say, Dawn?
I think so, Joe. I think Allegorie du Vassy is the one to beat. She was third. She won at Limerick, 19 lengths. She beat Melina Girl, which is Gavin Cromwell's, who was third at Cheltenham, who she beat some very good horses too. We had a bit of a gap between seeing her. I'd like to see her a bit more, Allegorie, but good comes to those who wait. And she won New Year's Day in 2022 at Fairy House, and then we waited a long time between then, and then she won in November, beating Brandy Love by 3.5 lengths. It was 3.5 lengths. So she's the one to beat. The only other girl that would have, but she would have had to have turned up, was Dino Blue. because she comes from that race now that tells us so much, Joe. You know, the one from Fairy House, Impervious, Brandy Love, Your Dino Blue, Party Set, Night and Day, who we seen do 22 lengths the other day. Another very, very exciting one. So yeah, Allegory Devassi in Thurles for me.
Yeah, same as me. She jumped really well last time, didn't she? She made a bit of a mistake at the last, but on the whole, I thought her jumping was superb. And this will probably just be another education for her, won't it?
I think so. And I think with that little mistake, I think she got lonely, Joe. She was out in front. She got lonely and bored.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Short odds, but she can't be taken on. This race, I might add, is an absolute brilliant race, and that is the 140 at Thurles. That's the Horse and Jockey Hotel, Grade 2 chase, 2 mile, 4.5 furlong. You've got Chacun Pour Soi, Fakir Du There is French Dynamite, Lifetime Ambition, Royal Rendezvous, and Hat en Couleur. Dawn, I'm with Fakir, but before I get onto that, what do you like?
Right, I'm split. I'm split, but you know, I'm always split. It's for me between Fakir Du Thurles, because I loved the way he ran, albeit a lot of lengths behind Galopin Des Champs. I don't think Fakir gets the credit he deserves. Look at all he's won, that way. Yeah, he's won a Betfair Chase at Ascot. He's been second in a Ryanair. He's won 2 Marshes. He's been second to Allaho. Apart from him curing COVID, what else do people want him to do? Chacun Pour Soi, you can make a case for him, and I know I know you can't warm to the poor boy, but God, what he's achieved too, Joe. Now it's his first time doing 2 mile 4, but he's beaten Durasso. He has beaten Min, he has beaten Allaho. He was second to Nerjamin, who we get to see next week at Cheltenham instead of this week at the Clarence House. He's just, and he was third last time we seen him. He was third to Blue Lord, who we both think an awful lot of. So you can really make a case for him if you want a bit more value. French Dynamite, Mouse Morris's guy, second to Galore. He might be worth a little play, but I mean they're only paying out to second, so I don't know how much of a play you're going to have there. So I am very split, but in my head, I'm going Fakir Du Thurles, my heart. Yeah. Chacun Pour Soi, and you'll be the first one to get a message with na 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 na. Should he do it?
I think when I was going through this race, I find it hard to believe that Fakir Du Thurles has got the same rating as Royal Rendezvous. You've got a proven Grade 1 winning horse, rated the same as a Grade 2, Grade 3 horse. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, and look, I don't like digging out horses or anything. Do you know that way? The bit of form that I like with Royal Rendezvous was that he bets the Eldon Nidge, who was 5th in a race, to him. But I see what you're saying with that rating. It's madness. He's basic. I know it's an awful thing to say, but I suppose to Fakir, he's basic. You know?
Yeah. With Fakir as well, over this trip, his record speaks for itself. I mean, he's been recently beaten over this trip by Galopin Des Champs, and in this race last year by Allaho. And for me, Chacun Pour Soi isn't Allaho, and he isn't Galopin Des Champs over this trip. So I think Fakir Du Thurles is 7-4. He's second favourite. I just think he's the safest bet in the race, because Chacun Pour Soi, love him or hate him, he can throw in a stinker, can he?
Oh, he can. It kind of depends of what Chacun turns up, that way. Sometimes I wonder, and I'd love to go down, or I'd love to ask Patrick or Willie, what's he like head-wise? Do you go into the box and you go, oh, he's in a bit of a mood today, or oh, he's not kind of feeling it today, like ourselves, we're not kind of feeling it. So, you'd love to see him on Sunday feeling it, but it's too much of an uncertainty with him going up to 2 mile 4 to put the house on him. Whereas Fakir Du Thurles, he turns up, he does his job, he's always there or thereabouts, and he's a bit of a dude of a horse.
And Fakir, he can dig in. We mentioned Pic D'Orhy there. We're wondering whether he would wilt or not. Chacon, for me, it doesn't fully. I think he'll wilt if he got into a battle with Facu Areas. That's my opinion.
Yeah, he could. And I mean, if you want to go down to Lifetime Ambition, Rachel's actually riding him for Jesse Harrington this time. He was in the race with Gallopin Deschamps at Punchestown before Christmas too. So, you know, he might be worth a tiny little look, but then am I going to look at all of them? Possibly. So again, I split, but Facu de Dries, I think you're speaking sense, Joe. I really do.
Yeah, safe bet. And obviously, we're going to look at the Hunter Chase now, which is the 4:10. If you're a multiple hunter, then obviously this could be the way to go. Billaway lines up here. I'm a bit disappointed that Wing Leader wasn't here, but again, what could have been a good matchup like the first race, we get possibly a one-horse race again, do we?
Yeah, I think so. I think he hacks up Joe, and I agree with you about Winged Leader because they kind of go toe to toe all the time. You know, they've swapped positions a couple of times too, which would have made it a more interesting battle. But I was there at Punchestown when he won the Hunter's Chase back in April. I thought he was great then. I didn't get him properly until I actually seen him and what he could do. I really got him that day. He won at Naas, and Naas, as I keep saying, as a track, it tells you so much. It throws up so many winners. It throws up Cheltenham winners, Breeders' Cup winners, Royal Ascot winners. I apologize, the F word is coming in there again. Yeah, he has to win, basically, Joe. I cannot see anything really. I tried to dig and I tried to make a case, and the only one I could have made a case for was Winged Leader. He doesn't show up. Billaway all day.
I mean, the only negative, Billaway has been second on his reappearance the last 3 seasons. And obviously he was beaten this race last year by Wing Leader. Wing Leader actually beat him by 12 lengths. Then we had the ding-dong battle at Cheltenham where Billaway got his own back. But I don't think there's a horse like Wing Leader in opposition on Sunday. So I think Billaway might just get his first reappearance win, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. And I think for all the Billaway fans, you know, they'd be happy as you like to see that. Like you say, if Winged Leader had turned up, yeah, we would have had a battle. Otherwise, we could be looking at what we've been looking at for the last 2 weeks. Willie's horses winning by astronomical lengths. Now, I mean, eye-watering, you know, that way. You've even got like one horse that was off, 3 years, that Tactical Bid, and he was ridiculous as well. So I think you're going to see a one-horse race with Billaway.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to move on to Lingfield now. We're going to look at 5 races from there. Hopefully the inspection passes. I understand it's Saturday afternoon. So hopefully it passes because it's a fantastic card. And we're going to start from the 130, which is a novice hurdle over 2 mile 7. Now, the favourite in this is Idalco Bihu, third in the Challow. Was he flattered by that? Possibly, because everything else in behind either pulled up or was out on their feet. We know he handles the go in. It's going to be very heavy. It's going to be testing stuff. It's clearly well thought of. He got thrown into a grade 1 on his second start. That, to me, speaks volumes. I just think he's the obvious winner of this race. He ticks a lot of boxes for me. What about 6 to 4 he is? I mean, are you with him, Dawn?
I have him down, Joe. I have him down. I wanted a bit of value. Without me, you know, without me knowing him personally, and without me not kind of, I look. He was third to Hermes Allen as well, which I liked, but I don't know. I went with He's or Geezer. Yeah. I like the name. Instead of a Skeleton Saturday, can we have a Skeleton Sunday instead? Yeah. You know, he was only beaten 0.75 of a length by Mahon's Glory on Good to Soft in a maiden hurdle at Aintree in October. I looked back at that race because I'm nosy, and he was carried left that day. So I think that cost him that little tiny bit. He's a bumper winner from Doncaster, and he was a massive purchase too, Joe. He was 305,000. So, you know, you'd want him to be winning something decent. You know, I know it's not always the case that it's going to happen. because we're seeing cheap horses now hacking up and beating worldies. But nah, Harry and Dan Skelton make it a Skelton Sunday instead. A little bit more value. He's a geezer for me, as opposed to Idalco Bihu.
Yeah, I did listen to the commentary earlier just to make sure I got it right.
Yeah. And sometimes that's not even right too.
No, it's fair one, yeah. Yeah, I just think he's the most logical winner. He's up in trip here from the Cello, and he was staying at the end, so it don't always work out, but I think it'll work out this time for him.
Yeah.
And moving to the 2 o'clock now, it's the Fleur de Lis. We're full of the French today, aren't we? Fleur de Lis Chase. And again, we've got last year's winner here, 2 for Gold. Bristol de Mai, obviously, Haydock's off. Very competitive race, and I really haven't got a strong opinion on it. I know I'm going to be forced to give one, but you with Bristol if he shows up?
If he shows up, Joe, I have to be with Bristol. Look, the unicorn, you know, that way, and he is. And him and Daryl, we talk about Bryony and Froden. Him and Daryl are a match made in heaven. And like that, it's my granddad. It would have been my granddad's 100th birthday yesterday, and he adored Bristol de Mai. He always said that he'd win a Gold Cup. Now, look, he came close. He was third in a Gold Cup. He was awarded that Grand National trial nearly a year later because of your naughty galloping bear. That, you know, he had that lovely win at Haydock, which warmed the hearts of many. And he was fourth to Protectorat, who, you know, he's not to be sniffed at for the Gold Cup either. So, yeah, okay, he's 12 years old. Would I have preferred him in the other race to Peter Marsh? Of course I would have, because I think Haydock's his place, but he is such a good horse, and it's Lingfield. So I like him at 9-4. Let's roll back the years. Let's have him. My buddy bet, as I call it, will go to him if Sunday happens and if he goes. Then I looked at 2 others just to throw them in there. Brave Seska, who, you know, I tipped up at 12-1 a couple of weeks ago here when, you know, won at Aintree. Didn't really turn up when 11th in the Premier Handicap, you know, to Midnight River. But Venetia, you know, she knows what to do. And Stolen Silver, you've Edward Stone form there, which I like. And I've liked Stolen Silver. He beat Edward Stone in a novice hurdle at Haydock in 2020. So, you know, you're going back. But Bristol, Brave Seska, Stolen Silver. If Bristol doesn't turn up, I'm gonna go Stolen Silver. If Bristol does turn up, my heart lies with Bristol.
Yeah, and I looked at, it's a tricky little race to assess, really, isn't it? You got Kalashnikov, who's a very good horse, but it's been off for a very long time. You don't know if he's still the same horse. Stolen Silver, will he get the trip? He shapes like he should anyway, shouldn't he?
He does, yeah.
He's got weight. He's got to give a lot of weight, which is a bit of a worry. Bristol de Mai, obviously, you know what you need at Bristol de Mai. The only thing with him, I did see Daryl's blog. Daryl doesn't seem confident about him coming to Lingfield. He said he'd rather go to Haydock because that's his place, like you mentioned. Brave Sieska, I'm not sure about the only Venetia horse that hasn't really proven himself on heavy going yet, but that's the question mark. 2 for Gold, last year's winner. I know it's a bit boring. That was on heavy going. He shapes to me like this is his Gold Cup. Won it last year, and the yard would have been like, right, we'll work back from next year's race. I think 2 for Gold, 3-1. I think that's a bit of value. So 2 for Gold for me. 2:30 now. Handicap hurdle, 2 miles. Very trappy race. Galice Macalo. I did look at her. She blew a field apart last time out in Mare's company. She's thriving lately, but conditions will suit. But it's tough under a penalty against in open company. The one I like is from the Harry Fry yard, Northern Merteron, Mai Tai. 8th at Haydock in November. Well backed. I think he was well backed into favour that day. Backed 2 miles here from 3, which is interesting. He handles heavy going. And I think that's going to be the theme of the day. Try and find horses who have proven themselves on heavy going. third behind John Bonner as a novice herd. They're second behind Constitution Hill as a novice herd. So he's clearly a very good horse, albeit a long way behind Constitution Hill, but he was still second in front of the others. So my tie at 8-1, I think, is a great bit of value in the race because we know he handles conditions. It's going to be testing. Dawn, conditions are going to be bad. Your selection proven or not?
Like I said, you're killing me with the handicaps.
Myself.
And when you get winners as well, that goes towards my Botox bill for all the stress of these. Again, I'm going the Skelton route, Playful Saint. And the reason why I like Playful Saint was because he was second to Lav Envoy in the handicap hurdle in Sandown in December. So, and he also won in March in Wetherby on the heavy. So I like that. And then was a winner at Leicester in December as well, beating Washington by 12 lengths. What really attracted me is because I think the mares this year at Cheltenham is going to be incredible, is that you've got that bit of Love Envoy form there. Yeah. So I did also put down Hacker de Placis, lovely grey gelding. The owners group have him. Angus Chaldea, I think it is, takes 5 off him. So, it's a valuable 5 in that slop, which they're going to be sunk in. He won on Good to Soft at Aintree, and he also won a handicap hurdle beating a horse called Ballybreeze, who has an Arkle entry. So what do I do? Hacker de Police. Sorry about the pronunciation. Our Playful Saint. Again, I'm going to go to Playful Saint, but I do think Hacker de Placis deserves a bit of respect, especially with the valuable 5 coming off in something that's going to be very heavy.
Yeah. I mean, we'll soon find out after the racing on Sunday, but when you do get heavy going, or sometimes going through the races, or sometimes think, am I spending too much time looking at who handles the going? Because some of them you don't know they handle it until they try it. It gets a bit confusing, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I'm kind of, because I'd be a summer girl really too with some of these national hunt, and yourself with me having one that she kind of relies more on good to soft than heavy. Ground would be, on a personal thing, ground for me would be a big factor. But like you say, until you test, you don't know either. So,
well, fingers crossed we found the right ones. Now, the 3 o'clock, the Surrey National Handicap Chase, 3 miles, 5 furlongs. This is going to hurt. This is going to be a proper slow motion finish. Cool Valor from the Chris Gordon yard, been on the tear recently, but up £11. That makes things tough, even though he's 5-2 favourite. One I like is Move the Chains. Gary Moore, Jamie Moore, 3 out of 3 at Lingfield. Obviously likes it here. Won by 12 lengths, 20 lengths, 14 lengths. Last time out, 5th in the Welsh National. Dropped £1. He looks to me the most reliable. You know he's going to finish. So, famous last words. But I think he'll be there or thereabouts. It's going to be attritional, Dawn, isn't it?
Oh God, it is. But I mean, what you're saying there with him being 5th, and he finishes anyway. So I can see where you're coming from. I've been confused and bemused with this too, but I've gone with the favourite, Cavella. I think he's too good to ignore. It's 3 on the bounce. You've got he beat Jeffrey's Cross by 19 lengths. Again, I went digging because I like Kim Bailey has a good horse called Broomfield Present, who won at Fontwell back in November, which it was a point-to-point horse that was held in very good regard. So you've got his form, Jeffrey Cross's form, going back to Coolvala, who has bet Jeffrey's Cross. That's my point with that. I'll get to it. He started off his career as a point-to-pointer with Colin Bowe, and Colin Bowe knows his onions when it comes to good horses, that he sells on. That win in the handicap chase in November, he bet Echo Watt, who was third to Your Galloping Bear. So Your Galloping Bear is turning up a good bit here as well. And yeah, he bet Bob Maley, I think it was, in a handicap chase at Lingfield. Again, he struggled at the start, but I loved the way he came back. Because I don't know much about his personal life, I had to go research him. So I've gone way back to Colin Bowe even. So that's where I'm making my point. Do I need to make much of a point for a favourite? Probably not. But eventually we got to my point anyway, Joe.
So you're confident Corvella then?
I'm very confident Corvella. I can't be looking at anything else. I don't want to either.
Okay, brain hurts from all the digging.
And it's your fault.
Well, the final race we look at is the 3:30, and it's another race where my old mate Goshen turns up in. I don't know, he's just a horse I've never really taken to. You quite like him, don't you? Not maybe for this race, but as a horse. He's a bit.
Who was that, Joe? Because you went out there, so I didn't quite hear you.
Famous Goshen.
Oh God, yeah, I should have known who you were talking about. Goshen, yeah. But I mean, were you not happy with what happened when Goshen, had his little mistake at Cheltenham? Because I know you had the eventual winner of that race.
Yeah. Wasn't
yeah.
happy. I was happy in a certain way. But the thing with Goshen, it doesn't annoy me, but he's the most talked about horse and he hasn't really ever done anything. But every time he runs, there's big news about him running. I'm like, there is other horses in the race who deserve press, so to speak, as well.
I
limelight for me.
I think he's an enigma, and I think he goes back to a time where, you could nearly say now and put it in the Urban Dictionary, oh Jesus, I've had a Goshen of a year, because after Goshen had that spill, the whole world seemed to shut down. So, but look, we forgive him. He doesn't like chasing. We know that. He doesn't like that. So, and that was a very emotional win. He had at Ascot.
Yeah.
And, if your heart didn't melt at that, it was, you'd be made of stone. So I'm going back to that race. He was second to Paisley Park at Kempton. You were there.
Yeah.
Did he turn your head at all, Joe, or was it just there's Goshen doing what Goshen does?
Yeah. Really, did he?
Yeah.
He showed up and ran his race. Fair play to him.
Exactly, and I mean, I love him because
handles to go in on Sunday. Very handle heavy.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, it depends, okay, what type of Goshen turns up. And what did we say? He's frustrating and a bit mad. But we like frustrating and a bit mad at times. Not obviously when you've got your house on him at Cheltenham, but I do like him on Sunday. I also like First Street of Nicky's. I know Nicky was kind of confused as to where to send him after how he ran against Marie's Rock. He's by Golden Horn, who they're hoping takes up the gauntlet from Kaftara. And he was a very good winner in Newbury as well. He stayed on very, very well that day. And he's got a bit of somebody who I can't let go, even though he broke my heart again last week. He's a bit of form behind Comprond. And he actually beat Mengli Khan, who was third in the Supreme, and Mengli Khan has now taken his suitcases and gone to France, but you've all that form way back when too. So I like First Street. And just from an Irish point of view, Jason the Militant is now at Philip Kirby. He's 25-1. I know I mentioned Cyprius a lot, who will be the new Yates eventually when he retires. He was 9 to Cyprius in the Irish Ledger last year. You've got Petit Mouchoir. I know we're rolling back as well in there. So if you want a bit of value, Jason the Militant, maybe see how he runs first time out for Philip Kirby. Ex-Henry de Bromhead recruit. We've seen how another ex-Henry de Bromhead recruit ran last week, Mr. Incredible. He ran very well. So yeah, if it's not Goshen, if we're going to have a Goshen of a day on Sunday, I'd be very, very warm towards First Street, and just take a look at Jason the Militant. It's only because, you know, it's an Irish interest for me too.
Yeah. I think Nelson, he's another one who started off chasing Saturday season. He's come back hurdling. Molly's Oliver's Wish, she will definitely run a race. She's tough as our boots. But you mentioned First Street there, third in the Rail Keel. Looking at it, they're probably disappointed. But I think a repeat of that performance, third in the Rail Keel behind Marie's Rock and Dasher Drasher, a repeat of that probably wins this.
Yeah.
So that's the way I'm looking at it. First Street, the safest option. Looking at Metier, he's raced on heavy going 4 times and he's won every time. So clearly he thrives on heavy. I think last time was over on the flat in the November handicap, was it? Somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah. I think it was, yeah.
So he clearly is a danger to all, especially with Harry Fry and Sean Bowen. They're a brilliant pair. But I think First Street's the safest bet for me. So that concludes all our racing from Sunday. Obviously, Thurles Dawn, they're all short price horses, but who would you say your best selection is for Lingfield on Sunday?
Oh, for Lingfield on Sunday, I think I'm going to go what we just left off with. I think First Street.
Yeah.
And because of Golden Horn too, Joe, I really want to see him. I was actually at the Arc when he won. I want to see him being a really good national hunt sire. And I think these type of horses will make him be, you know, used more too, because it's so important. So First Street for me from Lingfield.
Yeah, I think I'll go with the move for the change in the big 3 mile 5 chase from Gary Moore's yard. So that concludes this week's Racing Social weekend preview from Sunday. Hopefully it goes ahead and we get some racing to watch. Have a good weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Festival Trials Day. Clarence House is rescheduled, I understand. We've got a rescheduled cross country, so 9 races to get stuck into next weekend at Cheltenham. So all the best, have a good weekend, and cheers, Dawn.
Bye.